Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cafe of Knowledge. So glad that y'all tuning in today. Everyone knows, of course, this here is chapter 10. So y'all are moving up there so much. I just want to tell everybody congratulations to the ones who followed all the way from the beginning, because we have been doing this for a while now, ever since about probably 4 months now. We've been doing it September, October, November, December. Yeah, we've been doing this about 4 months straight, and we're headed on to the 5th month. And y'all are doing so well. I want to tell everybody that. I'm hoping that it's helping everyone try to find a new career, better career, or even it helps you wherever you are employed at. You can use this information anywhere you go. And like I said, not asking anything for it, but what we do ask for you to do is please hit like and subscribe, please. Please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, please. And that'll keep us getting boosted up and show that at least that we are doing okay and doing well. So anyway, on chapter 10, last week in chapter 9, we all talked about that budget plan for retail stores and a lot of other different stores. We did a budget plan, and I went through and I showed you. And if you didn't see that video, you might want to refer back to last week's video. And last week's video, we did do a budget plan, and I showed a chart on how companies want you to make that goal and what the numbers look like and how they track if your store and another store, if you're working in the same company and that company has about, say, 5 or 6 stores, and then I showed you how they look at all 6 stores and see how their performance is in that store. And they go by those numbers and the budget plan, okay? So we did touch on that budget plan a little bit for the retail side. And if you want to know how to set a budget plan for yourself and things like that, that was in the video I did 2 weeks ago. And I think the title of that was Budget Plan for Yourself and Your Business, or a business, okay? So you want to refer back to that and it'll show you. But just like I always say, setting a budget plan for yourself is the same way they set for companies. It's no different. It's just that you're dealing with a lot more money, and they require you on that budget plan to make more every month, okay? In your personal income, you on a set income, and that's what you bring home every week, every month, and it doesn't change. And that other video do tell you how to set money aside and calculate your expenses of what everything that you have for a whole month, your expenses, and then what you make a whole month. And you have to start putting up money for that to make sure that you have that money, okay? So now, for this chapter 10, let's move along, because last week in chapter 9, we did do the budget plan, how a company sets for a retail store. This week, I said, let me just switch it up a little bit, y'all, and do a budget plan for the restaurant side as well, like a food side. It don't really have to be a restaurant. It could be a fast food place, or even if you running a little hot dog stand, or a hot dog on wheels, or hamburgers on wheels, or whatever, a vending truck, or whatever, ice cream truck, whatever. Anything that's kind of dealing with a little food or whatever, then it's the same way we did the budget plan last week for a retail store. But I'm going to just break it down because some of the charts look a little bit different. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you will, just screenshot this here chart. And I'm going to put the chart up closer so you can screenshot it, because I'm not going to go through all of these stores. I'm just going to go through probably the first 2 lines to give you kind of an understanding on what you're looking for, what the company is looking for, and kind of, oh, that's how they do that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just giving you kind of a quick explanation, and I'm going to go through everything on the first 2 lines to kind of show you how they do this, okay, and how they know which store is doing okay, which store is not doing okay. Did that store meet its budget plan for that week or for that month? In this case, I'm doing it weekly. I think last week we did it probably like monthly, but this week we're going to do it weekly, like what you need to make each week, what the company say they want you to make in your store, and what did you make in your store, and what's the difference in what they wanted you to make and what you really made, okay? So we're going to have the store A, store B, and store C, and store D. So like I said, I'm going to bring this up a little closer, and while I'm explaining, I'm going to try to give it to where you can get a full shot of the sheet, and then you can kind of go down it yourself, and then you would see exactly what I'm saying. So you'll be able, if you screenshot it, you can go down each row, and then you could rewind or play this video again. And then as I'm talking, you will be like, and you can look at your chart that you screenshot. Excuse me. You can look at your chart when you screenshot it as I'm talking in the video. And then you will be able to follow then along. But I'm going to move a little swiftly now, because, you know, a lot of y'all already know what I'm saying and have it in your mind what I'm saying. But I just want to put it up there and show y'all. So, but first let me tell y'all this right here. Okay. On this chart, we're going to go by the week. We're going to say what your company wanted you to sell for the week. Okay. Now, for the week, it has on store A, it wanted store A to make $40,000 in 1 week, okay? And that's what they wanted them to make, okay? Now, their sales was $47,000. Let's put it this way. This was their sales. This is the store sales. The store made $47,000 this week, okay? Now, it also tells you what you made that exact same time last year, okay? So that's what they look at. So, like, say if a company made $5,000 this week, okay? I'm going to try to give you an example. Say if a company made $5,000 this week, okay? They're going to look at last year, this same time of the week, and see if you made more this year than last year or less this year than last year. They always want you to go up. They want you to make more than you made last year, because that shows that your company is growing. If you made less than you did last year, then that means that something happened. And that's when you have to come up with some type of explanation on why your sales was lower this week than it was last year this week, okay? And that's when you have to be able to say why your sale declined this year versus last year, okay? So this particular store, store A, Store A made $47,000 this year, okay? Last year, that store, this time last year, their store made $58,000, okay? So that means they didn't make as much as they made last year. Actually, they are minus $11,000, meaning that they made $11,000 less than they did last year. Last year, they made $11,000 more than they did this year. And that's when a company is going to wonder what happened to the sales, because $11,000 is a lot to lose. Now that's when they say, are the customers unhappy? Or now we talking about like a fast food place or anything that's dealing with food. Then the company is going to say, okay, was the customers treated right? Or do we have good servers, good waitress, good bartenders, good cooks? Is the food not as good as it used to be? What's going on that we dropped $11,000 this year versus last year? Okay? And you have to come up with something to try to bring that number back up, because what you don't want to do is lose $11,000 this year, then say next year you look at the numbers the same time next year. Say next year has come and everything, and next year we look at this same day, this same week, and say we went under another $11,000. That means your company is falling. It's falling. And you're going to have to pick it up quick, because it looks like it's getting ready to decline in business, decline in money. Because if it decline in business, you know it's going to decline in money. And it's going to decline in money. And then eventually you might have to shut one of your stores down, because the store is not bringing in what it used to bring in enough to pay bills and stuff. And sometimes stores shut down because that store costs them more money to stay open than it do to close it. You know, it's like they in the hole, like they spending out more money keeping that store open, and they're not bringing in the amount of money they spending out. So then that's when they make that decision that, you know what, we might have to close this store down and just operate the other 3 stores. You see? So that's happening. So that's why they keep track of these numbers, because these numbers help them to realize if each year and each week, it helps them, you know, that's why we do inventory. Because inventory tells you what you're missing and what what's missing and what's good and what, how your store is doing and everything, what's going on. Inventory tells you that. And we count inventory every week. Some stores count it every week. Some stores count it every 2 weeks. Some stores count it once a month. Some stores count it every 6 months. But the longer you wait to count inventory, when you count it, you don't know all the problems you have until like 6 months later. If you count inventory 6 months, every 6 months, you got 6 months worth of problems that you didn't even know until you get to that 6 months. And then it's hard to correct those problems because there's so many problems. It's hard to correct the problems like that. So that's why most businesses do their inventory and stuff every week, so they can keep up with stuff and they know what's going on, and they know when something is starting to decline, and they come up with a game plan to pick that store back up and bring in some more sales. Okay, so that's the purpose of why they track these numbers, and they call it budget plan and budget, because they need that amount of money to keep this store operating. Okay, and you have to meet that goal. So it's just like we said, if your store each year, this store here, store A that I'm looking at, and I'm going to show it to you guys, I'm going to show it to everybody so that y'all can see it. But this store A made that $47,000 this year, but then last year it made $58,000. So they minus $11,000. There's $11,000 that they did not make this year that they made last year. And if they keep doing that every year, dropping $11,000, then the next year drop $11,000, pretty soon they are going to have to close that store down. That's when you can tell that there's a problem before the problem get too big. You can correct it. Okay, so then there is some businesses, retail and restaurant, they calculate, because the register, every time you ring up somebody or whatever and you do a transaction and you get people the ticket, that's one customer. Then you ring up somebody else, that's two customers. Then you ring up somebody else, that's three customers. Okay, the register keep up with how many customers. Your company could set it up like that. If you run your own business, you can set your register up to where each transaction, actually it just goes by each transaction. If you have 50 different transactions that day, that register consider that you have 50 people in your store that day. Okay? If your store made 100 transactions in one day, then the register will automatically say that's 100 people that came into your store and purchased something, because each ticket is an individual person. Each receipt is an individual person. So if 100 people came in your store and 100 people bought something, each transaction, each receipt, it's gonna spit out 100 receipts. That means that 100 people came in your store and shopped. So companies also track that down. How many customers did you have in your store that week? Okay, and that same store A, they had 6,000, that we're doing for the week now. For the week, they had 6,240 customers that came in their store that week who bought something, and the register, you had 6,240 different transactions, so that means them different people. So that's how many customers you had that week. Okay, so now this store A had 6,240 customers this week. Okay, last year, this same week, they had 7,821 customers. So you see, they had more customers last year than they had this year. They had 6,000 customers this year, but last year they had 7,000 customers the same time last year. Okay? So then that means they lost 1,581 customers. Because if they had 6,000 this week, and last year the same time they had 7,800 something, that they lost 1,581 shoppers. So between last year and this year, the same time this year, 1,181 people didn't come back in that store. And you could tell, because that's why the store didn't make as much as it did last year. You remember last year, that store bought in $58,000. Well, yeah, it bought in $58,000 because they had like 1,000. They had 1,581 more customers last year than they did this year. So it's the same way. So then you say, now these companies track all this stuff down. And I'm showing you on the chart how to read it, and you know how to track it, so that when you are running your own business, or you have a own business, or you plan on opening up you a business one day, or you are just a manager up for a business, you would know this already, and you would know how to track it and what to look for to know that the store is not doing too well, or yes, the store is doing very well each year. Okay, so now that means that this store A lost 1,581 customers. But it's 1,581 customers that didn't come in this year, but they came in last year. Okay, so then what's wrong? And we're talking about, this is food restaurant. They do this in retail too. They calculate how many people come in, but we just talking, last week we did the retail side of it. This week we kind of doing the fast food restaurant and things like that, little eating spots and little things like that. So that means that 1,581 customers did not come back in. So then that's when you have to say, as a business owner or a manager of a business, you have to say what's going on in this store that we lost 1,581 customers. Is your food fresh? It could be that y'all putting out bananas that's real brown. Don't nobody want to eat that, so your sales went down. You see what I'm saying? It could be that when they come into your store, your expiration date on the milk is just 3 days away. It shouldn't be like that. So they don't buy your milk. Okay? And they walk out and go somewhere else. If it's a restaurant or a fast food place, are they serving the food cold? Like, every time the customers come in there, y'all food is cold. It don't taste good. It tastes like the seasoning ain't right. It's like you could come in one day and the macaroni and cheese tastes right on point. Then you could bring your family back about 4 days later and the macaroni and cheese don't taste like it did about 4 days ago when you came. You'd be like, this macaroni and cheese don't taste like it did about 4 days ago when we came. That will start making your customers pull away from your store and you start losing business. That's how come it's so important when you're working inside of a restaurant, fast food. That's why it's so important to go buy the recipe book that company gives you to make certain things. If it say make macaroni and cheese, you break out your recipe book and you make that macaroni and cheese. Because see, that's one thing. If you have a certain store, but it's 5 of them. Say if you love to go to this particular eating spot at home, and say you travel somewhere and you see that same restaurant and you say, oh, I love their food because I eat at that place where I stay at. And you go in there and eat, but this one here is the same store, the same restaurant, everything. Their food don't taste like the store that's in your hometown. That means somebody ain't following the recipe. Because each store that you go to that's the same, their food's supposed to taste exactly the same. Okay? If you getting a certain dish at a certain restaurant and then you travel somewhere out of town and you go to that same restaurant and their food don't taste like the one that your hometown have, that means either your hometown one is not following the recipe or the other one is not following the recipe. That's why companies always say, even when you go to a bartender, and even if it's a bar, if you say, hey, make me a margarita. Now you goes to this same restaurant in a whole nother city or a whole nother state, and you go to this restaurant because you like how the restaurant that's by you where you live at, you like the way they make margaritas. But then if you go somewhere else and you say, hey, at that same restaurant now, the same name, same brand, all that, and you just happen to go in there because that's where you go to drink your margaritas, and you go in there and the margaritas don't taste good. Now you mad at the bartender because the margarita don't taste like the margarita that you get from your hometown. See, you somewhere else visiting now, but you're mad that this place here, same place, they margaritas are just don't taste right. But the one in your hometown, you say, that's the one you like, okay? Now, it could be that the one in your hometown ain't following the recipe, or it could be that the one out of town, the store out of town, is not following the recipe. Because anytime you go to the same franchise and the same store, they stuff should taste identical the same. Because they all have a menu to abide by and a recipe to abide by. So if somebody is cutting corners, no, it's not going to taste the same. because one is putting a double shot or something and the other one is not. But maybe the recipe say one shot, not a double shot. Okay? So that's why stuff tastes different when you go to the same franchise, same company, and you go somewhere and theirs don't taste right, but the other one tastes just right for you. Okay? It could be one is following the recipe and the other one is not following the recipe. And it got to be that, because if they was all following the recipe the same way, it don't matter which store you go to of the same company, all their food will always taste the same. It shouldn't be this store is nasty and that store is good. Or this store got serve hot food and this store don't. See, that's when we're talking about on here, when the customer starts fading off and declining and don't want to go to that store no more. Okay? And that's why when we was talking about store A, they lost 1,581 customers. It could be something like that. So see, when you into management, I always tell everybody, when you are running stores, or you're running your own business and you're doing this, it's almost like detective work. Okay? You have to investigate why is it your numbers are falling. And you really have to come up with a solution to bring those numbers back up, or else y'all will be going bankrupt. Okay? So what I'm saying is, because I tell y'all all the time, I have ran about 15 stores. And so I know when I see declining numbers like this, something is not right. Somebody's not doing, and it's time for me to go in there and see what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, it's people who is not following the recipe. You know, if they supposed to make cabbage a certain way, all the stores make cabbage the same way. But then you always have a knucklehead that's going to do their own thing. I mean, you can do your own thing at home, but you can't do it here. You have to follow this recipe book. And some of them think, well, because they make it so much, they don't need a measuring cup. They don't need a teaspoon or a tablespoon of this, that. They just pour the stuff in there and do it themselves. Well, that makes the taste different from the other stores. Okay? And that's what people don't understand. You have, in the same way with bartenders and everything else, you know, they serve these drinks and they want to pour it the way, oh, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know how to make a margarita. Okay, yeah, we know you know how to make a margarita, but you got to make that margarita according to this recipe, according to the company's recipe, so that this margarita can taste the same every time they drink it. Not one day the margarita real strong, and then next week is real weak, and then the next week is just too strong. You can't do it like that. Okay? Everybody has to follow a recipe. So that could be a lot of the reason why your sales decline, because people are not consistent in that store. It's a whole lot of inconsistencies. Everybody doing whatever they want to do and not doing what either the handbook say or the recipes say. And that's when a store start losing in sales. Okay? So I was just trying to give y'all an example of how you start detecting what's going on. What could be wrong that this store has declined $11,000 in sales and they lost 1,500 customers in 1 year? Something is really going on inside that store that's not good. And somebody have to straighten it out real quick, because if not, next year, this same time, they're going to be 11,000 more up under. And you can't do that, because you're going to soon go under and under and under and under till you're going to go bankrupt. And you have to shut that store down. And think about when you have to shut a store down, that causes people their jobs, you know, they livelihood, all that. And it costs the owner to chop off his money that's coming, or her money that's coming in from that particular store. They don't have it no more because they had to shut that down. So it's a real burden on everybody. So that's how come they make these budget charts for everybody to follow, and then it also lets the company know where they stand for is their operation. Okay? How is their operational status? Okay? And these charts let companies know every week where they stand and where they don't stand. Okay? So now, then you have where they'll tell you need to make food costs. You know, they'll say food costs, they want you to be at 36% or 37%. Well, when you do inventory every week, you want to be in that 37% or 36% range. Okay? And that means that you made your food costs, and you all that calculates when you do your inventory. And like I said, if you don't understand what I'm talking about on that, you might want to refer back to all my other videos that are titled inventory. Okay? Because I explain all that then. Okay? Now, then it also tells you, say if you're working in a store, and it'll tell you you only got 90 hours to spend on cashiers. Then you have another 90 hours to spend on cooks. Then you have another 90 hours to spend on bartenders. Then you'll have another 90 hours to spend on maintenance people. Well, you have to stay within them 90 hours, meaning that when you make a schedule for your servers, and everybody making a schedule for everybody on the schedule, the servers, all the servers have to be within 90 hours. You can't have no more than 90 hours over that schedule. Okay? Say if they say the cooks, you can only spend 150 hours on cooks. So you have to make the cooks schedule to where all the cooks combined don't go over, all of their hours combined do not go over 150 hours. Okay? If they say you only have 100 hours in, say, a prep person who preps the stuff, you only have 100 hours for prep people. Well, when you make a schedule for all your prep people, you have to make sure that all their hours for that week combined don't go over 100 hours. Okay? So that's how you stay within the budget that a company sets. Okay? So, let me just show you this chart right quick. And then, so I kind of want y'all to screenshot it. And y'all will see where I have store A, store B, store C, store D. Okay? And that's how it looks. Okay? And you would see on there how I have, I'll bring it back a little bit. I'm trying to bring some of it close to kind of you can see what I'm doing. And then you can come down a little bit. But they call these summary reports. You know, they call these summary reports and primary reports. Okay? And then I'm just trying to give it to where if you want to screenshot it, you can screenshot it from far away. Looks a little blurry from far away, like you can't see it. So I'm going to just bring it a little bit closer and then let you screenshot that a little bit. And then you can come up and screenshot that a little bit. Okay? But if you see store A, we just going to go over store A today. And y'all can go over B, C, and D yourself because you'll know exactly what you're looking at. But you see, well, we did store A. So let's just do store B. You see where it has sale for the week. They made $40,000. Last year this time, they made $43,000. So you'll see that they $2,260 down, meaning that they made $2,000 less than they did last year. Not too bad. That's better than store A that was missing that 11,000. Okay? So now, then you will see down, you go a little farther, it says customer count. Okay? Last year, they had 5,200 customers. This year they had 5,263 customers. Last year, they had 5,787 customers. So you see how they are missing 526 customers more than they did last year. So it's 526 customers that never came back into store B. Why is that? That's what we was talking about earlier, okay? And that's how come they missing 2,000 more than they did last year, okay? So that's how that go, and that's how it's supposed to be. And like I said, y'all screenshot that, and then you can go down, but I know that y'all basically got it, how the way I explained it, but that's how it go. They will take what you did this year and compare it to last year, okay? And if you made more money last year than you did this year, they feel and there's something wrong, okay? And they want to know what's going on, because that's just like if you make $2,000 this year, and then next you make $2,000 on your check this year, and then next year you bring home $1,000, aren't you gonna say, wait a minute now, I'm supposed to have $2,000? Why I ain't got but $1,000? I'm missing $1,000 somewhere. You gonna be on top of that. That's the same way with a company. They be on top of that because they want to know why I made $2,000 last year. Why I only making $1,000 this year? Cause see, they want to keep up with that $2,000. You know, that's just like you supposed to be making $2,000, and you make $2,000 this year, but then next year you get your check and they say $1,000. You be like, wait a minute, hold on, I'm missing some hours here, or shoot, I'm missing some money here. That's the same way a company does. They know that they made $2,000 last year, or they made $10,000 last year. Say $10,000. Say they know they made $10,000 last year. Then this year, that same time, they make $4,000. They'll be like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why did I only make $4,000 this year? When last year I made $10,000. What's wrong? And whoever is running their store, you better believe they're going to go to that person and see why. How come the sales dropped so bad? How come I'm missing $6,000 because I made $10,000 last year. Now I'm making $4,000 this year. I done dropped $6,000 in money. See, these owners, they depend on that money. And so when a store just drop in sales like that, and the customers drop their customer count, meaning that they had a whole bunch of customers came in last year, this year they don't have that many customers, yes, they are going to try to fix that problem. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to be focusing on the person that's running their store, because they're going to feel like that person is not running their store correctly, or they're not doing their job. Something is wrong. Or either the employee is running the manager, because the manager can't do his job because the employee is running the store. We don't know what the problem is, but they're going to find that problem, and they're going to hurry up and fix that problem because they want their $10,000 back. They the next year, they want to make their $10,000. They not going to keep going for these sales dropping. And just like you wouldn't go through with your check keep dropping. You know, that way. Now, I know I'm supposed to get raises, but it ain't nothing in here that my check supposed to drop. And that's the same way a company feels, okay? So, that's all for today. And next week, we're going to get into more of how to do a schedule, and how to do your labor schedule, and how to make a schedule. And a lot of you probably not making schedules right now, but it's always good to know. So when you make that extra next step, that you want to go into management, or you want to be a regional manager, or you want to be a shift leader, or you want to be, if you want to move up into your work spot and move to the next level, then you will be able to do that because you already know how to do it. If you're not ready to move that next step now, okay, but at least you will know it, okay? So next year we're going to, remember when I was telling y'all that a company would have, okay, this week, say cashiers, you can't go over 150 hours in cashier hours. So you have to take all the cashiers, make their schedule, but you have to make sure when you make all these cashier schedule and all their hours put together cannot go over 150 hours, because that's all the company is giving you. So you have to be able to work with that. So next week we're going to go through that, how to make the schedule and how to stay into your labor budget schedule, okay? We already talked about how to stay inside of the retail budget schedule and the restaurant budget schedule. Now we're going to talk about how to stay inside next week, how to stay inside that labor schedule. Okay, so that's all that I have for today. Hope it was helpful for everyone. If you don't quite understand it, you know what I always say, go back and play it again and listen to it, and you can get a better understanding. You take a screenshot of this chart and then just go down with it like you're supposed to. And like I always tell people, no, I don't put all these things up on the screen about these charts on the screen and all that, and I do it for you. No, the best way for everyone to be very successful in what they do in life is have hands-on, and I do it hands-on. That's old school way, but it's new school money. Let me tell you that. Okay, so just make sure that's why I make sure everybody knows how to do it themselves. And the more you put your hands in it and do it, like I said, screenshot it, go down as I talk in the video, and then you can follow the lines and you'll say, oh, okay, yeah, I see, I have it. I see how these companies track how much money they made this year versus last year, how many customers they had this year versus last year, how many labor hours they spent this year versus last year. You'll be able to see all that stuff, okay? So that's it for today, and I'll see y'all next week. Gain knowledge to prevent blockage, and we all know what that means. The more you know, the harder it is for anybody to block y'all from y'all goals and y'all success. Bye-bye, and I'll see y'all next week.